When I first made that video, I really disliked Jake Paul. I thought of him as nothing more than a clown in the world of combat sports, an internet star playing pretend with a boxing career. But as time passed, I started to understand him better. I still don't respect him, but I see why he's doing what he's doing. He's built a career off controversy, gimmicks, and viral moments. He's a self-proclaimed boxing savior with a fight record that's as questionable as his social media stunts. And yet, in a twisted way, it works for him. Jake's fame comes from his antics, and as long as the public keeps feeding into it, he'll keep going. That said, there's one person who's had enough of Jake Paul's antics, and that's Andrew Tate. The former kickboxing champion has made it clear that he thinks Jake is nothing more than an embarrassment to combat sports. On live TV, Andrew tore into Jake like a bulldozer through a sandcastle, calling him out for being the biggest clown on the internet. Tate didn't mince words. Jake's made a career out of being an idiot with a lot of money, and now that he's famous, he's in the position to drag real sports like boxing through the mud. Andrew's words hit hard. Jake's already done damage to the sport by cherry-picking his opponent's fighters who either don't belong in the ring or are long past their prime. And then there was Jake's stunt with Mike Tyson, a move that Tate wasn't going to let slide. To Tate, it was a slap in the face to Tyson's legacy and an insult to boxing as a whole. Jake was dragging one of the sport's most legendary figures into his circus for a fight that wasn't about competition, it was about headlines. Jake's move was, without a doubt, disrespectful. Tyson is a living legend, a man who's earned his place in the Hall of Fame. For Jake to drag him out of retirement for a so-called fight was a cheap cash grab. And Jake didn't even seem to feel bad about it. It was the epitome of shamelessness, something Andrew Tate saw and called out for what it was. The sad part is that Jake doesn't even feel the need to hide it anymore. It's all about the clicks, the followers, and the drama. He's built his entire career on it. He doesn't care about the sport, the history, or the fighters who've earned their stripes. He's just looking for the next viral moment. Andrew Tate, on the other hand, respects the sport. He respects the grind. He's spent over a decade in the ring, facing real opponents who know how to fight back. His experience and skill have earned him respect in combat sports. Jake, meanwhile, has been boxing for 3-4 years? Most of that time was spent not in the gym, but finding ways to make his next fight go viral. He's a brand, not a boxer. Tate doesn't have time for that. He's the real deal. If these two ever met in the ring, it wouldn't be a competition. It would be a dismantling. Tate would tear Jake apart, and he knows it. Everyone knows it. I made a video once that called Jake out for a fight, offering $3 million for a winner-takes-all match. At the time, I was angry. I wanted to prove a point that Jake was nothing more than a charlatan in the world of combat sports. But now I understand his strategy. Jake is smart. He's playing the game of controversy, fame, and money. It's a sickening cycle, but it works. He's not going to fight someone like Andrew Tate because losing to Tate would destroy the illusion he's built. Losing to a guy like Conor McGregor? That's different. Conor's already a legend. No one would bat an eye if Jake lost to him. But if Jake loses to someone like Tate, who has spent years in the ring honing his craft, the narrative changes. Jake becomes the joke, and that's something he's not ready to face. Well, let's talk about Tyson again, because this part really deserves its own special level of roasting. Jake calling out Mike Tyson, a 58-year-old man, for a fight is laughable. It's like challenging an Olympic gold medalist in a sprint when they're long past their prime. It's not a fight, it's exploitation. Tyson has earned his rest, and yet Jake thought it would be a good idea to drag him back into the spotlight for a pay-per-view spectacle. The worst part is that Jake thought this would make him look like a real boxer. Instead, it made him look like a desperate attention seeker. Andrew Tate didn't pull any punches with his criticism of Jake's move. He called it out for what it was, a cheap stunt to stay relevant. And honestly, Tate's right. Tyson is a legend who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He's had his time in the ring. Jake, on the other hand, is still trying to find his place in a sport he doesn't truly understand. Tate understands it. He respects it. That's why he called Jake out for it. He knows that Tyson's legacy shouldn't be used for clicks. It should be celebrated, not dragged through the mud by someone looking for a viral moment. If you were to ask anyone in the boxing community, they'd tell you the same thing. Jake Paul's career is built on gimmicks, not real skill. His so-called boxing career is a joke, and it's becoming painfully obvious. He's been fighting opponents who either shouldn't be in the ring at all, or who are past their prime and looking for one last paycheck. Well, let's be real. Jake doesn't have the skill to fight someone like Andrew Tate. Tate has over 70 professional kickboxing wins and a history of facing real fighters. Jake's been boxing for 4 years at most and spends more time flexing on TikTok than actually training. There's no comparison. Jake might be the bigger name in the public eye, but that's just because he's managed to turn his entire life into a brand. Tate has the experience, the skill, and the respect of those who actually know what it takes to be a fighter. If these two ever step into the ring, it's going to be a one-sided affair. Tate is going to tear through Jake like a buzzsaw through cardboard, and the sad part is that Jake probably knows it. That's why he'll never take the fight. It's not about the money, it's about preserving the illusion. If he loses to Tate, it's over. His whole career collapses in one night. But the worst part, Jake is fully aware of the game he's playing. He's been dodging real fighters for years, carefully curating his opponents to build a fake legacy. He knows that if he fights someone like Tate, the truth will come out. That's why he's avoided Tate at all costs. He doesn't want to lose to a real fighter, someone who's spent years earning respect in the ring. He's fine fighting the retired athletes, the ex-MMA fighters with little to no boxing experience. But a guy like Andrew Tate, that's a different story. The public has seen through Jake's act. They know this isn't real. They know that dragging Mike Tyson out of retirement for a fight isn't a brave move, it's a desperate cash grab. Fans and analysts alike have called it out for what it is, and that's why the call for Andrew Tate to fight Jake has gotten so loud. Everyone wants to see Tate give Jake the reality check he's been avoiding. It's not just about the fight, it's about proving that real fighters like Tate still exist, and they're not going to let guys like Jake Paul tarnish the sport they've spent their lives building. Jake Paul has built a career on controversy, attention, and social media gimmicks. But Andrew Tate has built his career in the ring. He's fought real fighters, and he's earned his place at the top of the combat sports world. If these two ever meet in the ring, it won't be a fight, it'll be a dismantling. Jake's time in the spotlight will be over, and the world will finally see what happens when a real fighter faces off against a fake one. And the best part? Everyone knows it's coming.